Let's get started. Welcome to the Berlin Conservation Commission meeting of January 3rd, 2024. As a reminder, this is an open meeting, and open session public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your voice and image will be recorded. All right. Minutes. I saw Maddie caught up. We had 2 sets of minutes. Good job. Anybody have any comments about the minutes?
I thought they were great.
They were great.
Yes. Perfect.
All right. Would you like to make a motion to accept? We can do them together or separately.
We have to do them separately because I wasn't at the
Okay.
December 6th
I was missing
meeting.
for one of them.
So I
All
can't
right.
vote on that one.
So we've got November, do you remember the dates, Maddie?
Just
3 of them.
15.
November 15 and December
6.
6. Thank you, Louise. Okay, so I'll accept a motion to accept the November 15 minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those
Okay, I was
opposed?
not at that meeting, so I
Okay.
did not vote.
All right. Next, I need a motion to accept the December 6th, 2023 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion on those? Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And you weren't at that meeting,
I
right?
did not vote.
Okay. All right. Excellent. We have minutes. Do we have a treasurer's report?
We do.
Okay.
right.
Yay.
First time in a row.
Yeah. So it might be a little off, but
That's all
we
right.
have a general idea of what's going on.
That's more than we've had.
Yep. All right. So in our annual budget, we have $1,364.70.
Okay.
Wetlands fund is $14,566.09. And our open space, looking a little sad, $555.33.
Yikes.
Yep.
All right. Well, at least we didn't bounce that last bill we paid.
It's true. We're good there.
Yep. Excellent. Well,
Has
thank
that
you.
one cleared? It was-
Yep, that one cleared.
That was the one
Yeah.
from KP Law,
Yep.
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 Awesome.
which I remember.
Yeah. And we have another one from KP Law.
Oh, great.
Oh,
One
Is
that's
it
not gonna-
more than $555?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so moving on to bills and forms. What do we got? No,
Yep.
they're still billing us for Carter Street, huh? So the total is $1,209.65. I guess so we do have that other fund also. Do you happen to know how much is in there?
So I do it on my spreadsheets, but I could look it up if you want.
Because we can pay the $373 out of open space, but
What's this for, Carol?
this is for the Carter Street acquisition.
Okay.
Right. And hopefully this is the last of it. We Just,
What did the house go for and everything? What did we get for it? So that,
I think the house was either 230 or 270 comes to mind. I don't remember
and we
which.
were left with what?
So it was divided first.
Oh,
And
so
we
it's-
just bought the property, the land.
So it's 50/50?
Not quite.
Yeah, so in our donated account, we have about 2,915.
All right. Anybody have any thoughts about how we pay this bill? Do we pay the whole thing out of donations? Do we want to Okay, so it's 373.65 and 836.
Will that drain us?
That will leave us like,
Bucks.
yeah, like $180 in
We
open
carry it
space.
over. Get-
Mm.
No?
No,
What about wetlands?
can't pay it out of wetlands. It's not wetlands related, it's,
It's wet over there.
yeah.
Well, that's because it rained, come on.
Yeah.
Has to do donations then.
Right.
It's the only option.
All right, I will accept a motion.
Motion to pay the bill at the donations
Second.
Okay.
budget.
Okay. Second. Any further discussion?
In the future, it's a shame to do it out of donation. We better make sure we get enough in our budget to cover this stuff. If I
Right.
were donating, I wouldn't want it to go to this thing.
Yep, they are, I know Kristen is trying to do legal stuff a little differently in the next budget, so
And I can
hopefully.
backfill it.
Yeah.
Account for it later to backfill.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. All those in favor of paying the $1209.65 out of our donations account, say aye.
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 Right.
All those opposed? All right. There you go. I know. Anything else?
So we do have one more bill. So Patrick Garner went out to 203 Crosby Road.
Mhm.
We received a message. They had an issue when they were trying to install the septic. They installed most of it and then got to the field portion of it and just hit ledge. So they had to shift it out, and so Patrick was able to go out and
Help them.
Help them
Place it.
make it work.
Um,
So we do have that.
So is there a reason the applicant isn't paying him?
It's a good question. So Deb sent them bill to us. So,
Let's send it to the applicant.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
good point. Yep.
Yep.
Which one's that?
Toto.
Oh, definitely
Yep.
send it to the applicant.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, anything else?
I think that's it for bills.
All right. There was supposed to be a fresh copy of the bylaws in the mailbox, like a couple weeks ago.
That probably is still in there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I need to grab that. All right. And any emails that happened, especially while I was gone?
Yep, so the main one was the Crosby Road. We did receive a request for a certificate of compliance. So the DP file number for it was 1070194. So I went back and looked in their file, and it turned out we had issued a certificate of compliance back in July of 2015.
Oh, but
So I was
it
able
never
to-
got recorded.
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
so I was able to send them a copy.
Awesome.
So, yep, that was nice and easy.
Excellent. So we don't even have to do anything about that.
Yep.
Excellent. And then, so we've got just a few more minutes for the next COC. Anything else happen? It was quiet?
Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
Good. I did not check email while I was gone.
Yep. Good.
Yes.
Well, I guess the other thing was, I don't know if we have enough time to go over it, but the forest stewardship plan for
Oh,
Ball
sure.
Hill Road.
Yeah.
So, Gary Goldbrook went out and did a whole forestry plan for Ball Hill Road Conservation Area.
The Ager Woods, right?
Yep, Ager Woods and some other parcels included in that, and provided us this beautiful plan.
Excellent.
So give some recommendations to make the forest more climate resilient by, varying the ages of the forest, so making some openings in the forest canopy to encourage new growth. yes,
Awesome.
so-
Did he send
Did we
this
receive-
digitally?
Yep, so I did email that out to everyone.
There isn't a lot of quality timber in that stand, but
Yeah,
get that out of there and let something grow.
Yep, but,
Okay.
yeah, basically, once the board approves it, he'll send us copies to sign off on. And then we can use the forestry grant that we received to pay, essentially you sign it over to the forester through DCR's program.
Right, to pay him for this plan.
Yep.
Right, but any work that
Yeah, you
gets
wouldn't
done
do any
is,
cut. There's other grants for that.
okay.
He didn't mark timber, did he?
No.
Just scale, just walk through and
Yep.
assess it, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So do we need to vote to accept this?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
I read through it, and,
Did you?
you know, it's basic and it's covers it all pretty good, and the different zones, and I think he's got it down pretty good.
Mhm.
Okay. And as our arborist and bird person, how, did you feel comfortable with what he
Yeah, it looked good to
recommended?
me. Like, yeah, I liked how he broke it down into zones, because one of the zone has a bunch of invasive species in it, so he recommended, invasive species treatments in those areas. And then opening up the forest, great, new growth,
Right.
which would be beneficial for birds.
Do you
and
want,
deer.
do you want some time to read this?
No.
Can we vote on it next meeting? or
Yeah.
we need to do it
Yep.
today?
No,
Yep.
I'd rather
I-
look it over as
Yeah.
well.
Sorry, I missed it.
That's
Yep.
all right.
No, that's fair.
Must've been the
It was right
dogs.
over the holiday, yeah.
Yeah. I know, well, you were sick and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that online?
That's over.
So I did email it out. I can
Last week.
email it, so it'll be on top of
Okay.
everyone's.
No, Ball Hill.
Oh,
This is Ball Hill Road.
That's where we've been doing the bird banding and
Yep.
stuff like that.
oh, yeah, I know
Yes.
where that is.
Yep.
And that is a magical
Yeah,
process.
that's Linden.
Yep.
That parcel went into a Boylston bought their, or.
Yeah, what are they doing on their
SVP bought
side?
their
Oh, I guess we'll have to look at
portion
it.
of
Yeah, I
Right.
want to look at it. Treat
Okay.
it right.
All right. So we will vote on this next meeting. I'm gonna grab this though, if you
Yep.
don't mind. Okay. Awesome. All right, and so what do we got for 107-086?
All right, so this was another older NOI filing, let's see, back from 1997. So basically, they put in a driveway back then, and when they were going to sell the house, realized that it was still open. They never
There was no
received them.
COC.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Kyle went out, checked the driveway.
There was a driveway.
Yep.
All right.
Confirmed there was a driveway.
It looked well developed.
Yep.
It was fine.
Yeah, what property is that?
So that is 103 Pleasant Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And do we know if if
Yes.
anyone's here
Oh,
for
you
it?
are here?
Oh,
Okay,
hi.
cool.
It was my parents' property.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And so you,
There were hay bales when they built the driveway in 1987.
you
It
promised,
just-
right?
It just something that fell through the cracks,
Sure.
I guess, and
Yep.
I would move that we grant it, just the time and all that
Sure,
stuff, and
yeah.
I know it quite well, you know.
All right, so Walter's made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, to issue a certificate of compliance for 103 Pleasant,
Yeah.
DEP 107-086. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will ask you to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right. You have a COC?
thank you.
Yeah, so I think I have to check that first box. Yeah.
Yes. Good evening, Patrick.
Perfect timing.
24. Yes, we're just finishing up this other.
Do I have to sign it because I went in that other spot, or is that
Yeah.
only for the?
No,
new
we
one?
all have to sign it.
Yeah, I put the
no.
date for your site visit.
For the, yeah, the site visit
Yep.
part. Okay.
Yeah, so I just dated
You
it
did it?
when you went, yeah.
Okay. Covering the bases.
Pat, that Crosby Road thing that you looked at recently, did the
Yeah.
owner call you to look at that special?
Patty.
So, yeah.
Oh,
So
you
I
did.
they contacted us with
Oh,
the
okay.
issue.
Right, they
And
ran
then-
into an issue and,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
thank you for going out. We're gonna send the bill to the applicant.
Oh, fine.
Yep.
No big deal.
Thank you. So Maddie's gonna make a couple of copies, and she's gonna give you the original to bring to the Registry of Deeds.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. I know. Awkward silence.
Some quiet.
Yeah.
Good. Quiet is good.
What are we waiting for, 7:30?
Yeah, it's,
I'm really just waiting for Maddie to make the copies. We can go a few minutes early once she's done. Mhm.
You know, someone brought to my attention that there's 40 acres or something like that up on the corner of Randall and Colburn down in that corner there. It goes way back in the woods. There's a house there. They'll work a deal with the housing low-income people to get the house, pick that up or something, and maybe get the rest of it or something. But then it would connect it, just take another little piece of backland or something to connect it to a large chunk of ours down in that area. Well, actually, SCP land around Highland Commons. I'm looking into it.
Cool.
I might have copied you on that.
You did.
Okay.
Yep. That's all set?
Yep.
All right. Excellent. All right. Well, we can start a few minutes early. It's not a public hearing or anything.
Correct.
Yep. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Come on up. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Don't everybody jump.
I know, right?
So, as per the commission's request and working with Mr. Garner, we had a full as-built done of the detention basin. What you see here in red is the as-built basin that's on the NAVD 88 elevation datum. We overlaid the original design plan, the elevations, and the original design plan was not on a specific datum. So what we did was we looked at the elevations of the road grades. For instance, the design grade where this black is and where this black is, it was at 416. The
Do you have more
as-built,
than one copy there?
I don't.
Okay.
I can flip it this way though. So the design elevation, which was not on a datum, was at 416. You see this 416. The as-built elevation of that section of the road was 417, 417. So to keep it on the same datum, we took the design grade and you have to add a foot to it. So then it's even.
To compensate for the drone.
No. This is the drone, well, the drone, or it really wasn't a drone. They have I forget what other, but at any rate, that's on NAVD 88 datum. The design plan, the plans that were approved were not on a specific datum. So then we have to make sure that it's,
I
if
see.
this is at assumed elevation 100 and we're at elevation 400, you have to go, boop, okay. So now we're on the same elevation datum. So that 416, if we're comparing it, we're raising it a foot. So apples for apples, everything's in the right location, and they're on the same kind of same elevation basis. So where this 398 is in the design plan, to be apples for apples, that should be at 399. Where the top of the basin is at 404, that's really a 405 because we took it and went up. So that the bottom of the basin, the lowest spot, is about 400. We had a couple of spot shots, 400.6. So the bottom of the basin is in excess of a foot higher than the design, which is
Okay.
good because it's not like it was, when it was excavated out, it wasn't dug out too deep where, based on the design, it would be dug out too deep where it was a mistake and they'd be intercepting groundwater. Not that it isn't intercepting groundwater.
Right, I was gonna say.
But it was done per design, if not a little bit higher. And then the entire basin was, that's higher, the entire basin was about a foot higher, okay? So, the one point I made at the beginning was, it wasn't dug out too deep. It was done more conservatively than the design plan. That's number one. Then number two, does it have the correct volume? So we have, in the letter we submitted, we have the incremental volumes at every elevation. And since the basin was conservatively up an extra foot, the design elevation at the bottom was at 399. Well, it was up a foot in addition to the design. This was confusing. I went into the office on Thursday with another engineer in my office, and I said, all right, let's come in for a couple hours. We'll come in at 9, we'll be gone by 11. We were sitting in the office till 5:30 at night, making sure we tried to explain it correctly. So it does get confusing. And I did have a good conversation with Pat this afternoon, and he had the plan in front of him, and I was talking, I'm like, wait a minute, what? So it gets a little confusing. So if you're getting lost, you're not alone. So when you're comparing the incremental volumes, if you compare the elevation 400 on the design, it has to be compared to the 401 of the as-built. So long story short, incrementally as the volumes go up at the design spillway, you had about 85,000 cubic feet. And at the as-built spillway, you have 95,000 cubic feet. So you have another 10,000 cubic feet. And also, don't forget, was it back in March or May? We modified the basin.
Right, well, that's
and
what
we
I was gonna
added some-
ask you.
We added some outlet control structures, and we increased the berm elevation. So, with that said, it does have, it's, by design, it was conservative on depth to groundwater. It has additional volume by about 10,000 cubic feet. And the conversation I had with Mr. Garner today was, we have the original HydroCAD. That's a software where you design the detention basin, make sure that it's not overtopping. We should compare the as-built, now that we have the as-built with all the as-built orifices and spillways, we should do a comparison between the design and the as-built in our HydroCAD software to make sure that the numbers, it's not going to overtop in a 100-year storm. And in addition to that, obviously, as everybody knows, with the issue of it's just the way it is. When they did the design for the basin, they had depth to groundwater at 3 feet. It receives groundwater. It's just the site conditions.
Right.
And that's why an orifice, a 6-inch orifice was put a hole in the bottom of the outlet control structure at the bottom of the basin, so that when you do have, 10, 25, up to 100-year storm events, you'll have the capacity in the bottom of the basin so that it can hold back those bigger storm events. It will drain out, so you're not losing storage capacity when you have larger storm events. So my conversation with Pat today was, we'll run that just to make sure that all the numbers work and we don't have, put a belt and suspenders on it. I'm confident, it's with all the rainstorms we've had, this thing hasn't overtopped. I'm confident it won't. We just want to run the numbers, so at least we have something in the file to demonstrate that, yes, in fact, all the numbers work, with the addition of the additional volume that we had designed back in whatever was March or May, and in the addition of the outlet control structures, like the different orifices. We had a 4-inch, we had 2 10-inch, and then you had the spillway, and we had raised everything up. So we're just gonna kind of close the loop on that. If you have anything else to add to that?
No, really, John, I started reviewing the plan early this afternoon, and I had John's description of confusion. So I called him to give him a heads up to tell him basically that we were there, but I still had questions. So yeah, my recommendation was, because we've made field changes and we've added an extra hole in the outlet rear, that we really need to run the HydroCAD software to make sure that it's still functioning the way it was intended to. It should be easy enough to do because he's already got the model built, and he's just changing the storage numbers and changing inverts on the outlet devices. But I want to see that before I tell you that it's okay as far as I'm concerned.
Good.
But the numbers look fine. The elevations look sufficient, and the reassurance to me is that Andy did build it a couple feet higher than originally intended, so it should have more storage volume than designed. But again, the bottom line is always run those numbers through the software.
Sure.
Let's see if it's functioning as it was intended to.
And with the height being higher, that Andy did it a foot higher, and we got the extra 10,000-ish. So does that knock out having to dredge it? Or if we're 10,000,
No,
we're still gonna have to dredge it?
the stormwater regulations basically require that you match or knock down the peak flow at different storm events.
Right.
So you typically come in at 2, 10, 25, 50, 100. And John should be able to show what they were pre-development and what they are.
Oh, he's on,
That's right.
he's right on.
Yeah.
It's on-
Help her out.
What do you want me to do? Come on.
There you go. Thank you.
You get a vote?
But,
Well, what's
So,
funky
yeah.
about it is that we've had field changes and we've made changes to the outlet devices. So taking all of those into account, it really needs to be rerun to make sure that we're hitting the peak flow
Okay.
criteria at each storm event. And I think we probably will.
I'm confident we will,
Common sense
but
is going to tell you
we'll
that we
run the
should, but
We
this
will
has
still
been-
have to.
We've had such a focus.
Oh, you're talking
on
about
this.
dredging the bottom?
that was just my main thing, yeah.
Well,
It seems like.
the
no.
volumes are fine.
Right.
So we're not dredging it out to gain the storage
Capacity.
volume.
Yeah, that was the concern, was that we
That
had
was
less
a big
storage
concern.
volume.
We're well covered by,
Yeah,
according to
we appear
that.
not to have.
Okay, cool.
Right.
So common sense would tell you it's going to function,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
the bottom line is we always use this software
Right.
sort of to double check.
Cool.
So,
Right.
So we'll run the numbers. We talked around 2:30. I wasn't in the office when we spoke, and the other engineer in my office, he went out to pick up some plans, and I could have run it within a half an hour, but I can have it tomorrow, before noon for sure. Yeah.
So at the last meeting, you guys were gonna re-drain the basin so that Pat could have access to see, what the condition of the bottom of the basin was.
So it was drained. They did put a 6-inch orifice at the bottom just to make sure that it doesn't just hold water. I talked to Matt Morrow, and he had walked it with you briefly, but not since it was drained.
No, I haven't been out with Matt for probably 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that was before that was when I met you guys out there. Is that
That's right. That's
okay?
right.
All right, so, and we had just had some rain.
Mhm.
So now, I mean, we keep on getting rain, it's ridiculous, but it's drained now. It's probably still a little mucky down the bottom, but nothing that you can't take a look at it.
I was out within a few hours of the last storm a couple days ago, and the basin was amazingly dry. It wasn't completely, it still has some puddles, but it was a whole lot drier than I had expected because we had a little less than an inch of rain, and so I was expecting more. It's got some skim on the bottom.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell how deep it was, but it doesn't look like it's. I was expecting 1.5 feet, 2 feet. It looks more like a couple inches to me.
I had gone out, this is one of the other times when it was drained, not this last time, and I went and I took my shovel and I scraped over here, and I also scraped over here. And you're right, it was,
Yeah.
2-3 inches, and I think some of that had to do when it was stagnant and you had that layer of scum on the top.
Yeah,
A lot of that kind of settled to the bottom.
But the bottom line is that even if it's got a foot of junk in it from the loam, it's the storage, the overall storage of the basin that matters.
Sure.
So, we were chasing around that originally because we were concerned it didn't have the right volume.
Right.
But it appears that it does. So I'm not as concerned about, what may be
Good.
in the basement. And it'll compact over time, and it'll also grow vegetation probably next year. I want to see what
Cattails.
his hydrogen-
Cattails first.
Right, and I agree with that. I expect before, it was like a stagnant pond.
Mhm.
So there was nothing gonna grow. Now, where it drains, it will get, it'll start growing. And there'll be some cattails for sure. Especially down in some of the lowest spot right in front of the outlet, I'm sure you'll get some, and maybe in some of the sediment forebays and whatnot.
Right.
Because of some of the lowest spots.
Yeah, I was definitely
Over
more
here.
concerned with over there.
And here, and you might get a little bit over here. And there was a little bit at the base where it kind of, at the toe of the slope, it does a little bit right now.
Right.
Although that'll probably be drier more consistently now. Okay.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think with
and-
that lower hold in the weir structure, it's not going to hold anywhere near the water we had in it previously.
Which, that's kind of balancing out the weeping that goes in there, so that kind of keeps things at even keel in terms of storage volume, because it was just weeping in there, then you didn't have the storage volume because you had, 2.5 feet of water.
Sure.
And so now that helps to offset that condition so that it does have the capacity when you do get a serious storm event.
So if I understood this, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. You added an additional 6-inch drain.
In the outlet, in that
Yeah.
box
Yeah.
outlet, down the bottom.
Down at the bottom.
Just so it will let the water.
But that still flows out onto that rock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because on the outlet side of it, there's a 24-inch pipe.
Mhm.
On the outlet side, that's at the same elevation. So that 6-inch just lets the water bleed out
So
to make up for the water that's bleeding in.
I will note there's always the possibility that new 6-inch hole that's lower may not contain the water sufficiently to modulate the lower event storms. It may let too much water out We don't know. And that's what the software run will tell us.
Right.
And if that's the case, then they're gonna come in with something that's maybe smaller diameter.
Just a restriction on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
You know, that's why we're doing that.
Mhm.
Right.
That, when we put that hole, we did a core. We cored the hole.
Yep.
So if it ever came to what you're talking about,
That's
I
how
don't think it
core.
will, I can take a boot, a neoprene
Yeah.
boot, put it in there, that goes from a 6-inch hole.
Correct.
And tapers to 4, 2,
Whatever.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
We can change the restriction.
Yeah.
That's why we cored it and didn't just blow a hole out of it.
And John
we-
can plug that
Correct, we
outlet
can
into
slow it
the
down.
software. and
Right,
just-
so if, for example, it was
completely.
letting in a 2-year storm event, because that's where it's really gonna affect it in the smaller storm events, if it's letting a little bit too much compared to the pre-development, it's letting too much out, like Andy said, he can throw a boot in there and just
Yep.
choke it down a little bit.
When we pumped it out, just let everyone know that at the bottom, it's got a little algae like film from sitting in water, but it is dry and hard. Like, you're not going down there and sinking up to your ankles. You're walking.
Good.
We were carrying drills down there, and we were walking right through it. And out of the entire pond, there's probably 4 spots where you get up to the sole of your boot. Other than that, it was hard and dry.
Good.
And on, similar but unrelated, Andy's had the building department grading around the foundations and whatnot.
Over 80% is complete, signed off.
Excellent. And what, sure. And what is being done to stabilize?
It's all sodded.
It's all
Anything
sod.
that's been active is already replaced with sod after they were checked out and signed off.
Everything signed off by Richard.
Yep.
And there's only a couple left. We're gonna finish on Friday. And he's got back up. Monday, right, Brian?
Yeah.
We only have a few left. The only one that takes any real effort is gonna be the model, which no one's currently living in.
And the model is this one?
Yes.
How about unit 7?
What?
How about unit 7
I'd
behind
have
it?
to look at
It says OKRDH.
So,
Seven
Richard
was
Hayes.
over here.
right, so it's not,
7's up here.
Okay, yep. There's some erosion behind it that we looked at.
Yeah, that's
Right.
the
Yeah.
one. Scott took care of those.
You took care of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's signed.
no, it was down here in the, it wasn't against the building.
Highlighted though from the.
No, they took,
Correct.
and we took out that section of fence we talked about.
Yeah.
So that's out.
Oh, good.
And they soldered the whole thing down, so.
Great, great. All over.
Which up there doesn't much matter.
In fact, you said the
Yeah,
swale was
we
functional
got
properly also. in your
Right.
notes I saw.
Code.
The swale's all
But then,
functional properly.
how come
in the notes I-
that's with the stone wall? Back here somewhere.
Is that true?
I believe so.
What's that?
What's that? Stone wall? Where's the stone wall? Right this square?
It is.
But it doesn't go all the way up. It's
No.
just this little bumpy.
Right, yeah.
Okay. How's it looking over on Spofford 2 through 16? Cool?
We had the landscapers over there today, the other crew was over there doing the stuff with the hand raking on it.
Yeah.
Brian, I think those will be done, they said Friday also, we'll have them checked out on Monday.
Yeah, we're still working this.
They're still working the
everything.
Spofford ones.
Okay.
There was a
This is
couple
just as far
left
as we
to
got
finish
so
today.
far.
They were working,
Those were the toughest ones to get to, right? Because of the stone wall and all that.
well, I go from the front, but they were working on these two today, right
Yep.
here. And then the other crew, we have one small one right here, that's 10 minutes worth of work, pardon my reach. This is the only one that takes any effort. This is the one that we're gonna have to really work with, the model unit. Other than that, the rest are all signed off.
And that one still needs,
Yeah,
Yeah, here
I'm assuming,
and then Spofford.
right.
right.
Okay.
Very few compared to what it was when we first came back in.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, looks like you're making progress.
16 Spofford, the blue showed up on the side, and the side.
Excuse me, what?
16 Spofford,
Yeah, but what's left?
the drawing we got shows the blue, gonna dig around that. I get no water.
That's, we looked at the grades, they wanted to lower the siding,
Still need
come down a little bit.
occupancy.
This.
If we're gonna especially 16, that's all gonna be hand raked. We're not gonna bring the machine over and do that, because I really believe those spotted ones. So when that got done, we put all the rough loom in with the machines and got built, everything got hydro seeded, it never really got hand raked and done properly, just because the time of year had to get it laid down to tighten up for the winter. So we're gonna go back out there and hand rake everything, and most of it I can drag away from the siding and lower it enough and just flatten it out, because I don't believe any extensive machinery is gonna be over there, it's not gonna benefit you, it drops off so much, that's not gonna help you in any way.
It's gonna work.
No, I think we can just hand rake that, and I think that'll suffice without making your yard look like this.
And Brian, number 14, we gotta finish that Friday by Friday?
Yeah,
The-
oh yeah,
Look
yeah,
like the irrigation is dug up.
yeah, they're gonna replace all of that.
And Brian, 10, taking care of 10 by Friday?
Are we all on Spofford?
I know, right?
Everyone's Spofford? 10 what?
Campbell.
10
Is that
Evens.
10.
is over here.
That says it's okay for regrade.
According to this, 10 Campbell is done.
That just needs the irrigation probably fixed that.
Oh,
If you
okay.
already signed off,
So-
it's probably just the irrigation of the sod.
RB.
Not
So we
done
have the landscape crew goes in and they dig it all out, get it
Yeah,
to
yeah.
grade, and before we sod it, that's when the inspector looks at it, signs off.
Yet.
And then there's another crew that goes behind them, then sod it. So some of them might not be sodded.
So
right
grade's
now,
cool.
finished,
You hit grade,
we're
but
working.
it's still sod.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gotta put the
Into-
sod.
So
Intermittent.
it's still
In progress.
in progress.
We don't wanna put the sod, then have it inspected be wrong. So,
And they say,
No,
Sure.
that would make
Rip it
sense. Yeah,
back.
I
Yeah.
would support that. Yeah.
so we're
100%.
going, we had 3 crews there today, so,
Yeah.
and we'll have,
What about 5 Wheeler Hill Unit 3? They were working on mine today.
Right up there. yeah.
That's not signed off yet. It's still
Nope.
in progress.
Because it's all torn up.
yes.
And that'll be done by Monday, and you'll be able to see.
Yeah, like I
Because
said, we got the
they
crews
ripped up some
down there.
irrigation there too. There's some big pipes out the front lawn.
Yeah.
And the snow's not gonna hinder the building inspector.
No, we're good.
I think the last I looked, it was at like
Best we
75%
can.
on Sunday.
Will be
Right.
gone by Wednesday at the
But
latest.
like,
Yeah, Tuesday's supposed to be
I
like
think
50.
like 3 inches.
And irrigation is no way, no one knows what that is.
only
We're gonna
35?
make that every
Yeah.
day.
That's what.
Right now,
yeah.
for
I
here.
gotta pour concrete.
Lemonster and Gardner, yeah.
They always get
Little
hit.
bit, I
They
know.
always get hit hard.
Because there's that big mess there still, I don't think that was signed off, was that, you show that?
The 9's not signed.
No.
11 is, if that makes you feel better.
But 13's not.
We was there
13 is
with
not,
the building
yeah.
inspector today at 9 and went over the whole plan for the whole thing.
Okay.
And Brian, I'm sorry, is 10 signed off?
10 was not, I don't
No.
think. 10 on Wheeler?
Yours,
Campbell.
your unit, no.
10 Campbell is.
10.
Yeah, 10, you're good for grade. Well, I have
She's
the,
in 12.
oh, you're in 12?
Yeah.
12 is not, okay.
No.
10 is okay.
12 not.
12 is
Not
not.
signed up.
Sorry, I thought you
How
said
about,
10.
right. And I thought were you leaving a copy of this at the clubhouse? Is that, do I remember
I
that?
just didn't want to leave. I can make a copy and leave it there, absolutely.
It would just be confusing until the final, because when he says it's okay with grade, we're not telling people we're done, have a nice
Sure,
day.
yep.
Yeah.
It needs to then, he says, okay, you've met your grade, then they put the sod, fix the irrigation, put the mulch back, whatever. He looks again and says, now you're complete.
Right.
Yep.
So it's
right.
like a 2-step process.
So then we're gonna do this. 9 Wheeler Hill Road is signed off. 21 Wheeler Hill is. 7 Campbell, 11 Campbell, 15, 17, 19 Campbell, 28, 26, 24, 22, 18, 16, is that 14?
14 is signed off?
14 is signed off, except for reconnect,
Reconnect drain
right,
is,
Yeah.
and,
That's
and
your
10
use.
Campbell
It's not signed off.
is signed off.
10 is good,
For
12 is
grade.
not. Yeah.
Right.
12 is not.
Everything else is not signed off.
Can I ask about 30 Campbell?
Oh, done that way. You don't have any grade issues according to this chart.
No, he does. I talked to him after Richard, we missed an area,
Okay.
so we're gonna.
So
take
Mr.
care.
Hank, Commissioner Hanks is aware of 30's issue?
No, he is not, no. I
But he
talked
will.
directly with the.
Oh,
yeah.
this gentleman, you spoke
Yes,
to him? Okay.
yes, he came out and pointed out an area, and I talked to
Okay.
Joe about
All right.
fixing that.
I mean, it sounds like you're making progress.
One more thing that we should have stopped out before the spot. If we're going to think that inspector is going to do this week.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 hours a day.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
That's what.
Got a lot signed off in a matter of 2 days a week, 4-hour shifts, so.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
And the pond's good, the swale's good. I
Yep.
think
We're
kinda
waiting,
getting
so we're
ready
waiting
to
for
get-
some calculations on that. You're gonna finish up that and,
Our mechanicals are good, and our garage doors are all in? That's not gonna be an issue for this weekend?
Oh, so
No, no,
garage
we get the
doors.
heats on, we put tarps up in the ones that we don't have doors.
Right, they put up tarps.
Oh, that was the end result?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
all right.
But I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to vote on it. Insulation of actual doors versus just plastic.
Do you want to vote on it?
I'll give them that.
You'll give them garage doors?
Okay, I mean, I would make a motion to allow that, because if it's a storm's coming,
Yeah,
I don't need blue tarps in the woods getting
I
all,
agree.
could clog
All
up
right.
the culvert. I
Make a
don't know.
motion.
Make a motion so they can get it weather tight with garage doors. If that
Do we know
helps
the number of units for
We'll do
that?
whatever we can get.
you. Yeah, how many units you got with
Four.
Thank you.
garage doors? So
Yeah.
4 units garage doors.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. A yes vote is in favor of allowing the garage doors. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right.
For the record, I'd like to request that you lift the enforcement order.
Noted.
Noted. Yep.
Noted, but no response.
Their stuff's still in progress.
Any violations of the Wetlands Protection Act?
We don't know yet. That's gonna be the.
Correct.
on the software run.
Yeah, he has to do the
The software run.
CAD file.
Anything?
Erosion
To my-
controls.
To my knowledge, it's fair to say that's the
Erosion
only
controls.
Yeah, erosion controls on that chart are incomplete. And then we got your calc with your CAD.
Controls on this plan?
There's a couple left that were blue that weren't
Yeah, but
signed.
those aren't erosion issues. That's code violation. There's no conservation or code or
That
erosion
is
issues
true.
with any of those.
All right, I rescind my comment, and we'll focus on what you didn't do there.
Okay, so with that said, if we can get this information to Mr. Garner, and he is okay with that, you know, it's functioning properly based on the calculations, rather than wait weeks, is that something where he could report back to you? And subject to his report back to you, they could lift it?
At this point in the process, we're gonna do everything through open meeting.
Yeah, it's required. so
Yep.
it's-
It would be open meeting to say that we're going to rely on Pat on our decision, are we not? Finally,
Correct.
ultimately.
Yep.
And if we could vote and say if his decision is that it's all right before the next 2 weeks, it could happen. But what's the benefit of lifting, you're doing your work anyway, what's the benefit of lifting the...
No, we
can't do anything.
They can do remediation and that's it. And not the garage door.
Well, I mean, they seem to be moving along in good faith here.
Well, every
After-
time, that
after we
that
twist
seems,
their tail.
and that is always the case. And then as soon as we,
Okay.
so I would rather wait till the next meeting, personally. If you
Okay,
want to
Madam
make a
Chair?
motion,
No.
you are more than welcome to.
When is the next meeting? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Okay.
Can we change on a special meeting for this to see, because we have so many people waiting for them to be moving in this place, and I know you guys, you know, have your points, but I feel for the customers that we have that needs to move into those places as well, that's,
I guess,
We were half hour away from you having
Madam Chair, if you would,
calculations.
Yeah,
I would
that's
make,
gonna
I
work.
would make a motion that we, if Pat is willing to do it, make that decision. If everything's approved by him, then lift the enforcement order,
I want,
if he agrees with it.
okay, so if we get that file stamped with the drone, the original, and your water flow CAD, I forget the name of it,
HydroCAD.
HydroCAD overlays, we get an affidavit sworn from you
Strong
saying,
affidavit. I'm
yeah,
happy to give you a memo that.
I'll give a memo, how's that?
Happy to swear.
Something from you
Okay.
with a letterhead saying it's cool, then I think we can move forward with what needs to be done.
I don't disagree on a technical level.
On a technical level,
They've
yeah.
taken care of the erosion problems that were just dogging the project. That's seems to be eliminated. I haven't seen any sign of any, it's just gone. And if the basin works, great. If the basin doesn't work and you run HydroCAD and the smaller storm events are not being modulated, then I'd like to see you come up with something that says, here's what you're gonna do.
Right, for example, in a 2-year storm event, if
Yeah.
or it's letting too much out, we say, oh, that 6-inch orifice needs to go to a 4-inch orifice,
Right.
and we need to put a boot in it.
Yeah.
to-
And you're more than
What
capable to,
timeframe
that you
is
said
that?
that's it's 2 minutes to do. Yeah.
Literally,
okay.
When they make that decision.
Well, I can run the
It's a 5/16,
calcs in the morning,
not driver.
and then we can.
No, I know, I'm just trying to,
Review.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, we can fix
I'll have
it.
them
To,
reviewed by
to
the end
no,
of the week.
too many side conversations.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so I was saying, presuming John gets calcs to me tomorrow, then we're
Tomorrow's-
talking Friday, well, I could look at them tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
So he will give you the calculations and you will determine whether it's
Yep.
doing what it's supposed to?
Yep, yep, definitely.
That seems fair.
And the key is gonna be whether he needs to do remediation. And then he's gonna have to provide more details, what to show how
I would
that's-
have to,
what that's gonna be.
hypothetically, I'd have to give a detail with the outlet control structure saying, yes, this needs to get a boot that goes from a 6 to a 4.
Yeah, yeah, and he'll have to provide 2 runs of HydroCAD, one showing it's not working and what's happening.
one showing that it is.
And then one showing what he's gonna do to remediate that to make it modulate correctly.
Okay.
And that's it, and then I can review that and put together a memo and let you know. And I can do that by the end of the week.
And what was your conversation that you were having?
I was talking with Mr. Russo about how if that 6-inch hole that was added is
Too big?
too big or too small or whatever the CAD may say, he says he has the parts in stock. It's a very simple
Minutes.
Sure, yep.
fix to get it to where
It
you
should be.
both are cool.
Now, I will throw out to you guys, since we're drilling down here, that when the holes begin to become smaller and smaller, there's always a problem of clogging.
Sure.
Right.
Andy and I had talked about this weeks ago on the phone, and I think you had suggested either small gravel or riprap.
Riprap.
That would allow the water to come in without leaves clogging the hole. So you need to think about that sort of thing, so that,
We just didn't install that yet, back until all this grading was done. We didn't want
Right.
to have a spot grade and someone say, why is your elevation wrong?
sure, no, I
So
get
now,
it, I get it, I'm just throwing that
If
out.
he does it tomorrow and everything's good, nothing has to be done further, we move on.
Right.
If we need to write that memo with the downsizing and the riprap install, that's a quick narrative. You can
Yeah.
give it to him with it, so you have them both in hand.
I would do that.
Maybe we should run both HydroCADs either way, just to be proactive. That way, if you needed it, you already have it. Here, Pat, it's already ready. That way
That's
we
what
can
we're
get
gonna
this
do.
done and get
Yeah,
out of here.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We'll run it as it is right now,
Yep.
and if there's something that needs to get tweaked, we'll run it that way,
Correct.
and then we'll give a detail for it.
So when he says, when he gets the blessing, then hopefully we're ready to get back to it Monday morning.
Beautiful.
For the purpose of this meeting, since there's been many side conversations and you're going to do, to avoid any type of miscommunication or misunderstanding, can you please be specific in the items that are requested that either come from the developer and/or that Pat need to sign off on? Because I don't want it to come back in 2 weeks and, oh, you said, no, I didn't. That's not how I interpreted it. So if you could please be specific as to what is asked for.
Yes.
Me.
Anybody on.
Oh,
the
whoever's
commission.
gonna-
I'm saying
okay.
for the notes, for the meeting
Yep.
notes.
So
Yeah, I can do it.
specifically,
You
oh,
want me to do it?
okay, yes, I would, your understanding.
So my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the last item in terms of the detention basin are to run the HydroCAD software modeling with the design as it was originally, or our modified
I don't care about
design.
the old design. Let's just do it based on what exists.
But what I'm saying, we have to compare it pre and post.
Yeah, we have to.
So
Right.
the which was the modified pre,
Pre, yes.
Exactly.
and then our current as-built post.
Yep.
Compare those two. If there is a modification that needs to be done, and if it's fine, then good, done. If there is a modification that needs to be made to one of the outlet orifices, we will design that with details, run that software program showing that that works and there's no increases in runoff from pre to post. Then we'll submit that for review. Mr. Garner will review that, and upon his blessing, so to speak, Mr. Russo would make any modifications to the basin outlet, or I should say inlet structure, immediately.
And then you would notify us that the work has been done and
Inspected.
inspected by Mr. Garner.
Yeah.
And the enforcement order, should we vote to accept this, does not get lifted until the work is done.
Correct.
Until the modifications are done and inspected and accepted by you.
Okay.
And you're cool with inspecting it?
I'm fine. I go out
Okay.
early next week anyway, so.
Just checking. I want to put you down in the hole and you don't want to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, I try.
Although we have to remember, we may have half an inch or more of snow on the ground.
Well,
Weather pending, yeah. We'll have
We're gonna
to
buy
do
a
Right,
sled.
so what
Okay.
does
Push
snow,
it out there.
snow do as far as inspecting? Nothing,
I
right?
don't think it does anything, because we still have a little bit of freeboard between the lowest hole and the bottom of the basin. There's probably something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's probably, the ground, I
And you know
mean,
what, if we've gotten snow and Andy has to go out and put a boot in the lower hole, he's gonna clean the snow out of the way, and I'm gonna be able to see it,
right.
so.
Either way, I'll do it Sunday morning if I had to. I want to get back to work Monday. So whatever I need to do, so you can give them a letter saying we've either modified it or it was good the way it was, then we can get back to work. That's all. Once you get the letter, we're satisfied, is all I really want to make sure
Okay,
of.
I can work with that. I'm around.
John?
Two quick things. They're putting sod down in the middle of January here.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to us as a community if that sod does not take? And two, what happens to the snow storage plant?
The sod will replace the sod if the sod doesn't grow. Simple as that.
But
And
how do we get care of
That's not
it?
us.
Replace.
Well, depends on where the sod is.
Relative, yeah.
If it's on that back slope.
It's gonna be beside my house. The whole area in between my house and the next building has all been torn up today, so that whole thing's
well.
gonna.
That's
Right, but
out of
that's not
ours.
wetlands.
Yeah, that's out of our
Right.
The,
purview.
in back of John's house, that's wetlands.
And just so you know,
Impact.
I've placed sod on other projects in the wintertime. It's dormant. It's not gonna dry out and die. In the springtime, it's,
Which is
Same here,
concerning,
I
you know.
just did a house, $2 million homes in Needham. We just placed the sod down. That
Yeah.
sod won't die.
I have Toll Brothers in Hudson doing sod right now too, so I mean, it's not,
It will survive.
One of the concerns, it may live, but will it wash out? Have you staked it? Have you pegged it?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
stapled.
Yes,
Pegged.
stapled.
Last time I was out there, I didn't see that it was.
Yeah, we did staple.
You stapled
Yeah.
metal,
On the hills,
not plastic, metal?
Yeah.
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 okay.
on the flats, you don't,
You don't need
on the
to.
on the
Right.
flats, you don't need to.
Yeah, no, no,
stabilize.
just
On
on
the
the
slopes, you need to
slope,
stabilize.
stick.
And it's
Yeah.
a slope near John's house. It's not, where the sod is, it's not real steep.
Right.
Still subject.
So when all's said and done, is there gonna be a file we can get onto from the city, the town? If I wanna get in and look at those drawings, we're gonna have all signatures from everybody, that's all done?
Be public records requested, either the building department or our department.
Right, so this file, I mean,
Was-
this one, once it's 100%, we can post it with the minutes from this meeting
Okay.
on My Town Government. For that one, and the other one
Be building
would be the building department.
What, the inspections and sign off?
Yep.
I'm saying even the developer to sign off, we did this. I don't know, I just,
I mean, generally, it's more the inspector.
Yeah.
Whoever inspects would sign off.
so I would just go after the inspector? What's the inspector gonna do after that?
I'm not sure what you're
If
asking.
there's something wrong down the road, something fails, they're not signing off on anything on this? Well, the inspectors.
They applied for the permit, so they're in certain cases, I'm not sure what you're worried about, but they built it. Someone pulled the permit. The inspector's duty is just to make sure that it is to code, which is the minimum. Same with us. We're here to make sure that the wetlands codes are met. They're still responsible in a way
I think it's more like a punch
by
list
who
item.
pulled it. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 years down the road, punch list is done.
There's term limits and stuff with lawyers and all that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I believe.
I don't know.
The
Yeah.
attorney said as long as you say you have a year, as long as you say, raise your hand and say, oh, this is a punch list item. It's not like, oh, wait a minute, the 12 months is over, the clock stopped ticking. As long as you let them know that there's an item that needs to get fixed, they're responsible for
I
it.
know when you build the buildings on the inside, there's a drawing for all that stuff. It all gets signed off, you did it. This is something after the fact. It wasn't part of design to do this extra work like this.
Well, this isn't actually extra work. The detention basin was part of the design. We're just making sure that it was built the way it was designed.
But talking about beside the buildings too.
He's talking
everything.
about
I just-
The grading. Yeah.
Grading is indeed building code. It's not it has to meet code at a minimum,
Oh,
so,
yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
All right, never mind.
I don't know if I'm following. Sorry.
And I'm going to address the elephant in the room. You're giving them more in putting in doors and finishing this, but we're not getting any punch lists done.
Well,
They can't, right?
should this all
Punch
go
list.
the way this is,
Punch list.
that we're hoping that it's gonna go, they should be able to start working on the punch list very shortly.
I think that's a priority. When we get there, we're
Over
gonna
and
have
finishing
people.
the homes of the people
Can
that
you
you're
wait,
still.
let me talk first?
Yeah, maybe.
please? Yeah, so we're going to have people working on the houses that needs to be finished for hope the people be moving there.
Because
We're
that's
gonna
going to
have
be
a
their
diff-
priority.
That's
And we're gonna have a different crew working on the punch list to make sure everybody's satisfied with their punch list. So it'll be 2 different groups of people working on site and getting all those items done.
Question, going back to the retention pond, it sounds to me, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me, that the dimensions of it are not the same as the design, that it's basically higher than it was originally designed. With the fact that it's higher, would that, if we have the 100-year rating, would that compromise the walls because it wasn't intended to be that tall? And the base of it is not sufficient to hold the amount of water?
I can answer that. In short, no. The height is not the determinant, it's more the side slopes. Is it built to the proper side slope that it is? And it simply got more capacity than the original design, which practically should be positive.
Well, it's positive, but I'm just saying, if
It's not- it
you
doesn't-
didn't
it doesn't-
expect it to be that high.
Yeah,
if
it's not-
holding where it was.
It's not going to cause the walls to collapse because there's going to be greater volume.
That's the
Yeah.
only thing I'm concerned about.
That's driven more by the slope of the side slopes. And it's a well-built basin.
Mhm.
I hope I can say that's in
Thank
here
you.
now, but
Finally, something.
from my
There we
many
go.
decades of observing these, this is a well-built basin, and it should, presuming it modulates the storm events properly. Structurally, I think it's okay.
Well, I think you understand my question.
I do, yeah.
If it was-
Nobody
if it was
wants
higher
to
than
see it cave in.
expected, would
Right.
they make it wider?
Yeah, it makes sense, but it should be okay.
Okay, thank you.
I was just confused a little bit about the areas with no sod now and the potential for, I've seen forecasts with up to a foot of snow. I know that could be an exaggeration, but how is, I mean, are we gonna be looking at not getting sod in those areas until whenever? it knows?
We're working the rest of the week there. We're gonna be there the rest of the
Snow's gonna be
week.
on Saturday night, so we're gonna be working tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah,
and
and Saturday.
I thought I heard Monday was the sod.
No, we're hoping to be back to
Inspection.
work Monday with the other work.
I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna be there the rest of the week and keep pushing through, get everything buttoned up.
I'll join in it. Correct me if I'm wrong, you can't sod until that work is inspected, right?
Correct.
Which won't be until Monday.
It's, some of them, we will not be, we can get cleaned up and ready, so it'll look appearance of finished. No different than a new construction where you just finished a yard.
But to his question, I think you may not have sod on some
Yeah,
areas.
in some areas it will not be, it won't look like a disaster zone. It will be complete manicured.
In our side yard, we've had mud for a long time, and every time, when we get it redone, a few times, it rains and all the new dirt washes down. And I'm
We'll make sure it
concerned
protects
about
us, there's
that.
no eroding soil. That'll be protected. If I have to put hay down, or even if I have to lay sod down and then take it back out to have him inspected, I'll do it. Whatever it takes to, when I'm not going backwards. I'm getting out of here.
It's a very steep slope.
Love you all, guys, but time for me to go.
Can we go back to the question about the snow removal? I don't.
Right, so the snow storage plan, I believe you looked at,
I don't remember it ever being resolved, though.
I think he moved it.
He,
The blue tablet man, I forget his name.
Matt.
Matt. I remember the tablet, it was unique.
Yeah, I think I mentioned the last version I saw of Matt's thing, I don't remember.
I think we had the conversation, there was 3 spots, there was one by the clubhouse.
Right.
Yep.
One
One by
on
the
Spofford, and there was the
mailboxes.
question is that,
Sufficient, was it, yeah.
which it was that in a flat area, it was on a
Right.
slope, but it was in a flat area,
Yeah.
and then there was the one down by the mailboxes.
Yeah, I think we reviewed
I
the
think we
grade
went
and
through-
stuff and we were cool with it.
I think
believe
I
that's
recall
true.
that.
I
think we're cool with that.
Yeah.
yep,
So that snow removal's in effect, like, that
Yes.
is the plan.
That is the plan.
All right.
And that snow removal event is based on the amount of snow that falls.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
and-
1 or 2 inch snow is not gonna
No.
right.
trigger that.
No.
Yeah, I mean.
And
all
I
of
don't
these
think
is-
that the residents want that, because, I mean, long-term, after it gets turned over to the homeowners association, they don't want to be trucking out 2-inch snow events.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
It's considered hazardous.
Goes to the
Okay.
mall.
So we need, if there's no further discussion, we need, I need a motion about all that we've discussed.
I can't remember it all.
I can.
No, I'm not-
I'll do it. All right, so,
I basically a pet.
No, we're
No, we have to
gonna
do
let
it.
Kyle do it.
all right, so, you're gonna redo the WaterCAD tests with the
HydroCAD.
HydroCAD, that was close.
Nope.
HydroCAD test, befores and afters, to
Yes.
suffice what you're looking for. He will then approve that, and then
If any work needs
to be done, it will kick back to you, you will adjust, send it to him again for approval. Once he's cool with it, the plan will go into effect of what the requirements are for
And-
HydroCAD, for plugs, or bigger plug, smaller plug, whatever it may be, per the CAD. Mr. Russo will do it. He will then call for an inspection.
I will carry him down there if I have to.
He will carry you if you would like. That is not.
I'm going to that one.
You don't have to. Yeah, if you would like. Yeah. And then once we receive I won't call it an affidavit, but a
Approval,
approval letter.
written
I
approval.
will send a letter of approval.
Letter of approval, then the committee would then pre-approve removal of the restriction.
Correct. Second.
Second from Mr. Walter.
Everybody understand?
I do.
The expectations? All right, we have a motion and a second. I'm not even gonna ask for further discussion. I'm gonna ask you to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
I'm opposed,
Okay.
because I feel like every time we give you leeway, something blows up, something new comes up, or something doesn't get done the way it's supposed to, so I'm voting no.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Let's get to work.
Thank you.
all right.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
See it.
Let's,
Thank you, sir.
I don't wanna see you anymore.
HydroCAD.
Let's be.
What did I say, WaterCAD?
Yeah, let's, all right. Hi.
Hi, oh.
Hello.
There's more stuff on the agenda?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to drag this out longer?
I know, right?
We just gave you an in.
Right. Come on up.
You guys have anything else to do?
Come on up.
I'm John Glumac, this is Greg Tatnell. We're both Berlin residents, but we represent the soccer board committee. We submitted a CPA plan to redo the fields at South Commons, to put in a well and irrigation in South Commons, and to put
Smooth out the fields,
Smooth out.
re-turf them because there's no grass on them right now.
Right.
So
And do what?
Basically level the fields out, bring in dirt, level the fields out, and then re-turf them just
Yeah,
because
okay,
there's no
yeah.
grass on them.
But natural turf, not.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to bring it to your attention, just in case there's any conflicts or concerns you guys may have.
It came up at the CPA meeting, so we're like, yeah, we got nothing to do on a
Sure, on a Wednesday, on a cold Wednesday night, yeah.
What is the guesstimate on that?
I think our initial estimate was $250,000.
And this is CPA?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we got anything to do with it, but I mean, do we have a soccer teams that are of that level that they worry about? I mean, I go out playing on when it was a hayfield. I played on all those fields.
Yeah.
You know, we use rocks for bases and all that stuff. So I mean, I just when I listen to this, I just
I get that.
You know?
The bigger issue is just the program's growing, and we need more fields, but there's only so many places down there that you can actually put a field because there's just huge dips and stuff everywhere. So it's really just to kind of make things a little bit easier for us to actually lay fields out.
Okay. And to rest them between seasons, so like we can rearrange fields more. Like we have almost twice as many participants as we did in 2018 alone. So we've doubled since then. And it's just a lot more people using a small amount of fields. So if we can even rotate fields so that they don't get as much use between seasons, the turf would last longer and be more resilient.
Yeah, because right now we just have no grass because they're just getting overused.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's battered right now.
But yeah,
What about chemical inputs once you reseed that? Do you have an estimate what the chemical inputs are going to be for?
Like actual chemicals?
Weed control.
Like actual
Like,
chemicals,
for
no,
instance.
but like we have a maintenance plan that we're working on like the funds to maintain them better too, because that's been an issue as well. They haven't been getting fertilized as much as they should and haven't been getting overseeded. So a lot of that stuff hasn't been happening as well.
Well, I think the biggest and most important step is if you can keep it watered. Grass doesn't require a heck of a lot of nutrient input.
Well, and that's why
It just loves a lot of water.
Yeah, and that's why we're pushing for the irrigation as well.
That's probably most of that
but
cost.
How deep is that
That's a
well
huge
going to
chunk
be?
of the cost, yeah.
Because I know some of the neighbors, I live in that neighborhood, and some of the neighbors have fairly shallow wells.
Yeah.
Hate for them to dry up.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten that far with like to do any testing and stuff like that, but but yeah, I mean, from preliminary discussions, it sounded like to satisfy the requirements of all the fields down there would be like a well, like.
It was a tragedy we didn't buy those other two fields that developed area now.
Yep.
Oh, where the houses just went up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
So
mistake.
what is this we're talking about?
They're just bringing
South
to
Common.
attention the South Common. They're going to regrass it,
Mm-hmm.
or make
Yeah.
a program to do so.
Right, so as far
Add
as
a well.
conservation is concerned, the location of the well, we may want to say in. So over by the parking lot, like towards the back of the property.
Yeah, it's
There's some wetlands back there. Over by the pond, we would want a say in,
Isn't there an
so-
old one by the
baseball field? There's like.
Does it? Yeah. Does that one even work?
It
That
does
does
work.
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you
Not
might be able
well,
to get
but,
5 gallons like in an hour.
That'd be good.
Right.
Switch out the goalie. There you go. Yeah. So that-
Right, so, but other than that,
That would be the only concern.
that would be our only concern, and then at that point, we'd just want you to come in and we'll discuss where you're gonna put it, and if anything, I mean, putting a well in is fairly, innocuous as far as, it's really just as they're putting it in, where are they dumping the crud that comes out?
Yeah.
That's really the biggest thing we're concerned about.
So our initial plan, not that it's final or anything, is to put it by the baseball sheds, which are right there's 2 sheds at the end of the baseball field, like the
Down by the big
gravel
pines.
road that goes around the baseball field.
Down by the old salt shed?
Yeah, by the salt shed, that gravel
Okay.
road that goes that way.
Yeah, that's
past-
fine.
Yeah.
Past the playground.
Can you pull up a?
Yeah, it's over.
On the other side of the baseball field?
No,
These two.
Like, not all the way out by the
I know,
salt
right?
shed.
Get away from me.
no, not out by the salt shed. It's
Okay.
still inside the road.
He's talking. All right, John. El Pointo, where are you talking?
Okay, so by these sheds right here.
Oh, the old concessions, or whatever you wanted to call it,
The
storage.
baseball
Right.
sheds. The,
Okay.
I don't know what you.
So-
I'm new here.
Right, so that is a certified vernal pool. just
Yeah.
So you know.
Mm-hmm.
Do
So
you
you have
have
to
the
go way
ability to
over.
measure on this?
I can, with my fat fingers, measure. If I go to one of these tools.
Why don't we just review the plan when they get it?
Yeah. Just-
Yeah, I think you might have to go over by the pines.
Okay.
I think that's where you'll have to be. The only other thing too is most school lots obviously are built on a flip-flop pattern. So when that school's too small, they build a new school next to it and then that's the fields. So maybe thinking about the well in that location wise. You know what I mean? That way we don't spend $100,000 on a well. That
And then-
when we build
and
the
then
new
build the
school, it's
building
gotta
on
go.
top of it.
Yeah, it's in the,
Yeah.
it's in the gymnasium. But I think if you're down by the salt sheds,
Who's gonna build a new school?
Well,
At some point, Berlin will need a
point
new
they
Another
keep
school.
decade.
building
or two.
developments.
Right.
Anyway,
Let's really
but
roll.
we'll be realistic and say, we just need a map with
The only other
wellhead.
part of our plan that was a concern was we want to put, so there's telephone poles way back on the big field by that new development, that backwoods, and we want to put, I think it used to hold a net,
Yeah,
and we want
right.
a net front by that woods so that the balls don't go into the woods and down the hill.
Bird,
So, yeah.
So I know it's a concern. We're gonna look into bird-friendly netting, but I don't think that exists. But if there's a way that we could like
have them.
like pull it up.
Right,
Yeah,
like
or
flagpole,
yeah,
kind, that would
curtains where they
be,
could be
Yeah.
like moved and.
That's what you used to have to do with the
poles.
batting cages back when Hudson, you'd have to,
Yeah.
and then,
right,
I think a hawk got stuck, yeah, it was a whole thing.
yeah.
So,
I mean, Maddie rescued a,
Yeah, Great Horned Owl was caught up in,
over at Cyprian Keys.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
on their driving range.
On the side of the road, you know, so it is definitely a concern.
So as long as they were able to slide and kind of get
Yeah,
compact,
yeah.
then you guys would have a problem. with
Yep,
that.
either slide like curtains or lift up like a flagpole or something, yep.
But if it was up for any extended amount of time, that would be a bad thing.
Yeah, so ideally, just as long as there are people around, I guess, it's fine.
Yeah.
You just don't want it up basically at night or,
Yeah.
or if it's visible, I don't know, if you can make it more visible somehow.
They still fly up
Fluorescent
there?
pink or something. I don't know.
I'm sure the neighbors will love that.
Yeah.
That's on you, that's on you.
But maybe there was bird around
Okay.
getting out there.
But, right, so those are our two concerns.
Okay, and if you guys have any other further concerns, you want to take can I write down our email if you want to
Sure. Yeah, I can give it
contact
to
us?
Matt.
Actually, well, AJ, I know,
Right.
AJ
Yeah.
knows me, he has my email.
Yeah, you
so
can
if-
just write it on the.
okay.
Yeah, you can email the Conservation Commission, we'd have it.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks for hanging out for so long.
Yeah, thanks for,
Thanks for doing what you're doing for the kids.
yes.
Yeah.
No problem.
I noticed this last fall, the games went on forever.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
It was well into November, you guys were still out there kicking the ball around.
All right.
Very cool.
Good night, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Say hello to your family.
I will.
Good to see you.
Have a good night.
See ya.
Nothing
All right.
left? What's left?
All right. One other thing was the cell tower, the Verizon cell tower. How we feel about splitting basically the rent.
Right, I thought we talked about that at, didn't you even have it in the minutes? That we talked about splitting and that we were good with that?
What was the end ratio? if I recall.
Either-
Well, we,
Not in our favor, Rachel.
well,
I've got
we
some
were,
minutes here if you wanna
I
review.
was told
Oh.
a third to a half. And I believe we as a group decided that we would be okay with a half.
No
A
less.
half of what?
Half of whatever
The
rental
fee.
income, whatever income comes in from the cell tower.
But which is gonna be what?
It- but There's, I don't know yet.
Well, we
Well,
wanna
in
make
the
sure we
minutes
allow it
said
on
we
our
agreed to
conservation
half
land,
and
for heaven's
half.
sakes.
It does.
Correct, but we want half of the rental.
Louise
Right.
has it.
Correct.
So until that's decided, we don't approve.
Well, there's no, there is no one amount, because what they will do is they will build the tower and then they will solicit people to come in and rent from them. So it will be a changing amount, not a flat dollar
There's
amount.
no bottom line just to go up and charge up there and build a tower in the middle of that beautiful area. You don't get any, if they don't get any, before they even get a customer.
They're, conceptually, they already have that lined up, I would assume, to make it a viable investment.
Okay.
In the
You know what I mean?
November
It's a needed
15
area.
I do.
minutes, It
Yeah.
says, "Select Board has agreed to split the rent that Verizon and the other cell phone companies would provide for use of the land if conservation agreed to allow the cell company to build a tower on conservation land."
Right.
Split.
There it is.
Yep. And then
No?
I think, did select board came back with, well,
Yeah.
or Kristen responded with a either half to a third.
What?
That,
Split.
right, that was, right.
I was
So-
thinking 60/40. That's weird how the numbers. Okay. Can't even pay our legal bills.
Well, I'll go for it if that's the way.
What's the square? Do we know the footprint of this thing? The pad? Do we know
It's
anything?
50, right? 50 feet?
Was it
50 by
50, 50 or 40 by,
Yeah.
50 by
Holy
50, 40 by 40?
That sucks.
But they will disturb land a little beyond that during construction.
Well, going up the thing, yeah, I already did that last week.
Right.
I got yelled at. But that's the way they go, right, Walter?
Yeah.
They go up that way?
Down off of Taylor Road is fairly innocuous, but I mean, it's the idea of it. You penetrate up, that area is unmolested right now. One of the few large areas, you go and penetrate into there and build something, and this isn't the purpose of conservation land. There's enough land developed around. But anyway, yeah,
That's big.
I think I'm
50/50.
outvoted anyway. I just don't. I don't think it's necessary.
So what do we vote on? Are we voting on anything? Or are we just open-ended?
Not tonight.
talking?
We're not voting on anything tonight.
Oh.
I think we need to have further discussions with Kristen and the select board.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't received anything back
Right.
from cell person, tower guy.
Yeah, I'm not-
Igor, right?
Igor.
Igor, yeah.
Awesome. No,
Which is better than Igor,
That is correct.
so. All right, so that is the agenda. Does anybody, yep?
On community, after our December 6th meeting, we sent an email to Lisa Sequeira, principal of Tohoto Regional, and Renee Legendre, assistant principal of the middle school, asking if AJ and I could meet with them to talk about jumpstarting our program of community service. We did not hear from either one of them, but I met with the school council, and the subject was brought up. And there is support, from the principal, and actually the people on the council gave us their input also. They thought it was a great idea. So, we talked about, well, why didn't the kids volunteer? Why was that at a standstill? And they've got quite an established program with the Lions Club in Boylston. They have a Leo's group, and the kids have been doing a lot of activities in Boylston. So I think that's why we didn't get
Conservation activities or just activities in general?
activities.
It's like Boy Scouts, right?
work for the Historical Commission, right? They've done a few other things, I forget what they are, but they've done a lot with,
So students from Berlin are working on
In Boylston.
volunteer projects
In Boylston, right. So one of the activities was, I think, like for social studies. They did a lot of research on some of the properties, the history of some of the properties in Boylston, that type of thing. So Lisa suggested that we work with the younger kids, like the 8th graders and the 9th graders, because they weren't as involved with the Leos. And she said that the 8th graders wanted to do a thing on composting as part of their science curriculum.
Cool.
Right. So I said, well, I would talk to Stan Rogolinsky.
Sure.
And he's all for it. He says, oh, it'd be a great idea, have the kids put together a program and demonstrations and everything.
Absolutely.
Right. So I told AJ about all of this, and he had some suggestions of things we could do. Right. Right now, it's just a matter of getting back in touch with the people at Tohoto, coming up with a program and saying, this is what we want to do.
Okay.
And they said they would post it, on a bulletin board, and you get the kids to sign up. But there's a lot of support for it, So AJ, I don't know if you want to talk about some of the suggestions you had.
Yeah, I did quite a bit with composting in the Master Gardener program. And one of the things we set up as a demo were 3 very large compost bins that I literally constructed from materials. And there were 3, so raw material goes into compost bin number 1, and after several months, it gets moved to number 2, new raw material gets in after several months, and the process of moving it from one to the other turns it over, aerates it. We also mixed in native soil to bring in the kinds of microbes, so the native soil is integrated into the materials as they're introduced. So what I'm trying to illustrate is there's some techniques to use. There's some home compost bins. I purchased one available at the transfer station.
Oh, cool. Right.
$42. I think
right.
we put one in at the town garden now.
Definitely could use it.
But-
He's all for it. He said he
Yeah,
would meet
yeah.
with people to, get the program going.
That's awesome.
Right.
What are they doing at the transfer station with that massive composting? They keep turning it over, and is that a composting situation?
It's,
Wood
they
chips
don't
and all?
consider it composting because
Then-
it's just, leaves and stuff like that, yeah.
But that's what it ends up as.
It ends up, the town does use that in some of their projects. They use it.
Well, the kids should be
Right.
aware of that. I mean, that would be a learning experience if they knew what it was all about.
Right.
As long as you're gonna do something.
Yeah, but this would be composting food. It would be like showing people how to compost your food and, all of your waste from your home and everything.
So the inputs would people who are coming to the transfer station to turn in their garbage and their recycling and so on, be able to add materials to these compost bins? I mean, they can be overwhelmed very quickly.
Right.
But
They
You have a wildlife
haven't been doing that, up until now.
Mhm.
Right.
Because it would attract, I don't know, that would have to be worked on.
We
Right,
have, we throw our garbage in the chicken coop, we got skunks, raccoons,
Yeah.
possums. And what else is the 4th thing? I forgot what it was.
Rats.
Isn't it,
No,
if
no
you
rats.
put anything except for meat, it keeps the
Oil.
the critters down?
I feed the chickens all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
We don't
Oh,
mind them.
I mean, for composting.
My granddaughter,
Like-
my granddaughters are out there with flashlights at night looking at the
Yeah.
skunk and stuff.
Right.
the guideline for home composters is try to forego bones, fish, meat, things like
Right.
that, dairy. Although eggshells are great for compost because
Right.
they
Because of the-
contain, yeah.
The calcium, yeah. Yep.
And the whole reasoning behind that is to try to prevent the encroachment of unwanted critters like
Yeah.
raccoons. Like,
Right.
Right.
who doesn't like a raccoon around? And they're quite tasty.
Yeah.
And
They are.
and so on. A little
What?
greasy though, aren't they? Better on the grill. Anyway.
Right.
Montreal steak seasoning.
So,
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
All right, so
Okay.
So that some of those critters can be a little destructive to the composting equipment.
right,
So it's it's
Right.
right.
So, but you guys are going to put together some kind of plan?
I think we should. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, and
Yep.
ask to meet with them,
And,
you know, to.
well, work with Stan first.
Mhm.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then once we have something put together, we can present it
Present
and
it, right.
they can
Mhm.
post it.
Yeah, another suggestion.
Maybe some
that
expenses
was
involved in
talked
signage.
about.
Hold on. Go ahead,
I have a question.
Mr. Bradley.
Is this just for home composting, or would the school be doing their own
I
composting?
think the school, the students would be doing composting because it was suggested that maybe the town of Berlin could donate a couple of those.
Right, but I think what you're asking is this going to be scraps from the cafeteria?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
it's the health
It probably
department
would be.
and all sorts of stuff.
Right, you,
Right, and it would be-
that's what you're envisioning?
Yeah, it would be showing people how to compost their waste at
But
Promoting it.
right, so that's home stuff. Would it also include stuff from the school building?
You know what, I really don't know.
Yeah, how
I
are you
just-
going to
Right.
contain it
Right.
and transport it?
Right.
Yeah, we didn't get
So,
any.
so probably not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we didn't discuss exactly how they would do it.
Say
It
that
said
again?
They wanted
Berlin
to
Elementary
study.
has their own garden
Yeah.
right in front of the school,
That's true,
so.
yeah.
Yeah,
They have a small compost pile.
Do they have a small compost bin there? Right, and so maybe, if this group ends up really being engaged, that could be the next phase, is to
Right.
do something at Tohoto for that building.
mm-hmm,
But I think probably starting with that might be a little bit bigger.
right, yeah.
Well, the other thing is, the original proposal was that we would guide the projects. And I understand that the school, the kids want to learn about that. I'm more than happy to support it and help with it.
Mm.
But I'm pretty disappointed in the response of the school and the students.
Right.
Because we were trying to engage them in this government process, the open meetings, and challenge them with things like maybe you'll do a little public speaking, and maybe you'll do a little trail work and so on.
Right.
But the
don't
whole
wanna
idea
do it.
was to enhance their resumes and their college applications and
Right.
stuff with these opportunities that we provide.
Right,
I'm happy about the composting.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
right. But I think they're getting that from the Lions Club. They're working on these projects so they can put that.
Right, I mean, they're getting a certain kind of experience, and
Right,
I agree
exactly.
that a different kind of opportunity would
Mm-hmm.
have been good, but, we can leave it open if they end up having somebody who's interested, but,
Right. And there was some discussion about having the Berlin Lions work with the Boylston Lions, so that things are being done in Berlin also.
sure,
Right,
yep.
so,
So we should contact someone from the Berlin Lions?
I actually talked to Dave Malaga.
Yep.
He's the acting president, and he says, well, we've approached them before and it hasn't worked out, but he was willing to do it again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
So that's,
So-
Yeah, thanks for keeping up with it, and
Okay.
we look forward to hearing the progress.
Right, yeah, so we'll send an email saying she would like to, come up with a program and meet with you, and
Sure.
discuss it.
Yep. Awesome.
I received an email
Yes.
from a citizen. Is it okay to? move
Sure,
on?
yeah.
I'm gonna try to talk this through. James Holyoke, and he came up with a bunch of ideas for sort of enhancing our open space, but I think it kind of borders on, this should be recreation stuff. Kayak racks along the Assabet River, so people don't have to drag their kayaks back and forth. They can lock them onto a rack and use them at will and so on. Marking a number of places that are pretty well established walking areas like the aqueduct and so on, with some distance markers. Maybe bike racks where mountain bikers tend to, I get on my bike and ride and throw it back on the truck, but I'm telling you, this is,
Yeah,
you know,
This is not the first time I've heard
Yeah,
this
okay.
list, I just want you to know.
I didn't know.
Is Jim volunteering to do this? Is that what this is?
Yep.
Well done.
He said, I think we can raise the funding for this stuff with conservation, but I think it's recreation department stuff.
Sounds like the Boy Scouts.
I'll just read the rest of the items on the list and let it go at that. But I, you know, in good faith, I thought I should bring it up.
Sure.
Disc golf, I don't know anything about it. But
They tried that on Pisgah, and Northborough revoked it because they cut all the trees down, if you remember.
I don't know.
Is that why all those trees got cut down?
What was that for?
Disc golf
Disc
course on
golf.
the backside of Pisgah.
good-
Remember all the saplings were getting cut down?
I don't know anything
Yeah.
about it. Okay. Yeah, I
It's
did
golf
hear
with
about the trees
frisbees.
being
Yeah,
cut.
it's,
That was for the
Why wouldn't
frisbee
you
golf
do that
course.
in an open area?
they like to have
No, you want
obstacles to
the
go
angles
around.
and stuff. Yeah, it's-
I've stopped a number of people cutting their own trails through our lands and stuff.
Oh,
You know,
mountain
they think
bikers
it's
are just as
go,
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A dog park, I'm not a fan, but.
Not a fan.
No.
Can you mail that to us?
Yeah, yeah. And maybe picnic tables and things like that in some of the,
Do we not have like Boy Scouts anymore? Is that not like a thing? Because when I was a kid, there was like canoe racks and picnic tables and marking trails. It was like the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts,
Right.
whatever you call it now. I have
Right,
no
whenever
idea.
we have in the past had people working on their Eagle Scout badge come to us for projects.
Okay.
And we've definitely helped them.
Oh, and that's when they did it?
But that's the only time we've had volunteers from any of the scouts.
Oh.
Yep.
one of the things that got me thinking about is we do a lot of reactive work. Most of our work is reactive. But we don't do a whole lot of proactive.
Right.
We're a small group.
Right, and we do seem to try to be proactive,
Yeah.
it just doesn't often
I
work
beg your
out.
pardon. I put a substantial amount of time into chasing land and working to protect land
Oh, yeah.
and working
Yeah.
the proactive. Nobody's more proactive than this group here, the amount of land that we protect and the things that we do. And, you know, this is all good, but you got to protect the land and the environment. And,
Well, we got the
Boy
land.
Scouts should be
Right.
doing
Yeah,
some
Boy
of that
Scouts, you
stuff.
pick up the slack.
agree.
Fix your bridge over by,
We don't
what's it
have
called
the
over
land.
there?
We got to get a lot more land.
Yeah.
Anything else on your list?
I'm talking about.
I'm good. I'd like to make a motion to end tonight's meeting.
Well,
Oh, hold on.
You got something?
wait a
Hold
minute.
on.
We got
I know.
something on the table. You got the rest of the agenda here to go through.
We're done.
I thought we went
You
through.
didn't talk, what about land management?
I thought we did the,
We
that was
talked
this
about
thing.
something, there's
That's
something on the table
the
about
stewardship plan.
cutting brush down along the Tyler thing. Is that on or not?
Oh, well, it's, I
don't- what do
had
you-
forgotten, it's not, so, yeah, so go on.
So, I mean, as land man, you get the Tyler field there. Basically, Billy Wheeler got it through, which is good. But, I mean, that's a beautiful view down across there. It's all grown up. It's getting invasives in there a lot of trees. I mean, I'd like to see that all cleaned up when you look down across here where the Northbrook joins the Assabet River. Somebody just talked about cutting grass along the river. I mean, I would like to see that cleaned up along the wall there, and Gary Spinney could do it at a real reasonable price. He worked for the town now.
Gary?
Yeah, Gary worked for the highway department. He's worked for him for a
Forever.
decade or more.
I know Jim's,
He works as a contractor, as a subcontractor.
Right.
Yeah, but, you know, he'd be willing, he gives us a price of $100, he gets $150 an hour to even hook his chipper, for heaven's sake, so it'd help It'd make that look wonderful down there. And besides, I used to clear it when I was a kid.
Is that
For the
wetlands?
cows.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I think that's the only one that has more
Right,
money.
so the biggest problem is money.
We've got
We
some
don't,
money.
we don't. That would have to come out of the open space fund.
Yeah.
And we have $555 in that account.
Okay.
So that's our first
Oh, I
and
thought
biggest
we had
problem.
more than that, yeah. All right.
Right,
We
we
keep
have
getting
money in the
those
wetlands fund, but we can't, there's,
No,
it's
that's not
so
wetlands
limited
related.
on how we can spend the money, yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be wetlands.
When do we
Right.
get more money? Or we don't?
When's the next CPA money coming around?
That's what I just asked.
Well-
Isn't town meeting Thursday or something?
Well, then we have our own
When's town
budget.
meeting?
Town meeting is in May.
I'm excited. I'll see you there.
I'll be in the front.
I'll be in second row. Okay.
All right, end of discussion then, if that's.
Yeah, I mean,
thought we had-
honestly,
When we
we
talked
don't
about
have,
it, that was before we had this bill
right.
that we just paid.
That could have paid for that. I think, I agree with Walter, over that area is nice and cleaning it up. But it's just a matter of funding it this time. So I would support it, or whatever, with more than $500 in the account.
But you also need to have insurance and other items too.
Yeah, COI, you gotta do it right, yeah.
Yeah, we,
Well, Maggie, you work for the town now.
It doesn't matter if I doubt that he would do it on behalf of the town. He would have to do it on his behalf, which means he would need to provide his insurance that he's covered, not town insurance. It's
Oh,
not
I
a
see.
town job.
Oh, all right, all right.
right.
He should have that, Walter.
Right,
He
so-
I
he
believe.
does have it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's easy to get.
Got it,
Yes. So,
I think. Seymour can get me.
all right.
Take me a
All
while.
right. Do you have anything else, sir?
No.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything else?
I
We're gonna talk about bat houses.
Bat houses?
AJ's been building some bad houses.
Well, Walter and his granddaughter built a couple of them.
I got a bunch of them from Batman.
Yeah.
I don't have any bats, though.
The other thing is that, you know,
Faulty
there's no
installation.
expense or anything to these things. Dave gave us the lumber and we milled it and we got some real good labor putting them together.
Nothing like
couple
child
10 years
labor.
old and
Yeah.
an 8-year-old. It was a kind of a fun project,
Yeah.
but I think we would have to have help to, they need to be a minimum of 10 feet off the ground for the opening so the bats can gain flight. They
Right.
don't take off from the
How did
ground.
what's-his-name get his post up? Did the highway department do it? We've got one down at the Aspet and there's one over at.
No, he hand dug it and we pushed him in. Hand dug it.
Hand dug it? Okay.
Old school.
Well, I'm okay with that. It's just.
Mine's up there. Mine's
It's gonna
12,
be
14
like
feet
a-
up. I think it was a 16-footer in my yard. I bought
yeah,
I bought
yeah.
a bat house, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or it
Yeah,
was
it-
gifted or whatever.
Yeah, you can hand dig it very easily.
Yeah, you think we could
Yeah,
get that
post
thing
hole
up there?
digger and
Thing weighs about
dump
50
it.
pounds. So.
Yeah, it's fun watching him do it.
Kyle will help you
Okay.
put it up.
I'll help you. I'm excited.
Bring it along.
It'll be good. My lull?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Well,
No, well-
that's the challenge is where and how to
Right.
put them up.
Yeah, once you get it in, I could
Right, well.
show you
so,
how.
Yeah, I know you had talked about,
Up at the town garden.
at the corner of Pleasant Street, yep.
Do you think it should be farther from the road?
Well, we just don't want it in the way of mowing and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
But if the posts were dug into
Well, we'll
the
figure it out.
garden.
We'll
Yeah.
we'll work on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It wouldn't.
I'm willing to assist in the barn raising of the bat barns.
Okay. Thanks. That's the last thing I have, so we can go home now.
All right, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to go home now.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor of
Aye.
ending the meeting at 8:50?
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Aye, 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 aye.